And we're live. Hello and welcome to the Snappy-Tech Podcast. Quick apology, this might be a laggy one. My internet connection isn't doing great today. In the words of Paul, who can't make it today, Virgin Media giveth, yet Virgin Media don't taketh the data away. As my upload speed has been ridiculous these last few days, and not in a good way. It's just been really patchy, and God knows what's going on. However, let's do the quick social media bit, and I'm going to tweet it. And I'm going to put it on Facebook. And I'm going to put it on Snapchat. And almost. Wait for it. Do it on Snappy-Tech. Post to Facebook. Post it on Snapchat. And cool, let's talk about the week's tech. As I mentioned, Paul couldn't make it. I got a little pop filter for my mic, so I can talk as loud as I want now. This is great. You may have noticed my microphone was very quiet last week. That was because I intentionally didn't want to turn it up. I was just worried that the lack of a pop filter meant I'd be popping everywhere, and no one wants that. However, if you go to the first link in the description, which actually before we get into the show, good news. We have a new shortener URL. So if you go to snpy.tech/whatever, you'll get fun stuff. So snpy.tech/YouTube is our YouTube channel. /live would be here right now. It will update to the latest live event depending on what it is. However, in the case of a podcast, it will stay on the previous one until the Wednesday, and then on Wednesday it switches over to the next one in anticipation for the next podcast, which is cool. There's some light shining through. Oh well. But yeah, I recorded some videos today, which is cool. So there's been a lot of light moving today. But yeah, what else? So yeah, if you go into the first link in the description, I believe it's snpy.tech/SN4, SN standing for show notes, and 4 being because it's podcast number 4. Look, it says it right there, see? Like there, number 4. So yeah, bloody hell, 4 whole weeks of this. It's been a month, basically. That is crazy, right? Like, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's also a little bit mad. So let me just hang on, let me prepare this. I was totally prepared, I promise. So there we go. Cool, perfect. So yeah, /live would be the live stream as it is right now. iTunes. Before I forget, let's get all the announcements out the way while we're here. We are on iTunes now, so if you go to snpy.tech/iTunes, it will take you straight to the iTunes page for the Snappy-Tech Podcast, available in audio form. After we finish here, I upload the audio version. It then shows up on iTunes within 24 hours, which is great. It's also on other podcasting services, so if you go to snpy.tech/podcast, these links are all in the description. You can click them, and you will find yourself in all of those locations. /podcast will take you to the official podcast page, where it will have links to everywhere it's hosted, as well as having the podcasts there themselves if you just want to scroll through and click one and listen to it. So that is cool. My internet speed is really suffering right now, so I'm assuming if you're watching this live that you're really struggling. As I mentioned, this is also being recorded, which means if the live version of it is really bad, I will just upload the file I get out of this. It's really annoying, to be completely honest with you, because god damn it, right? Like, I've had internet issues in general, right, in terms of inconsistency as opposed to it being generally bad, right? Like, it will be fine for a couple of days, and then it will spend 3 days just being so horrible. And it just changes back and forth. So right now we are doing, what's it set to? The bitrate is set at 4 megabit per second, right? However, my upload should be 15 megabits, so it shouldn't even be an issue. In fact, when I was in the Skype call with Paul, so when we were doing it last week, it was set to 6 megabit, which is the highest that YouTube recommends for 1080p content. And that's whilst in a Skype call, right? So it's not a lack of internet speed. However, this week it's currently running at 1.5 megabits. So it's set to target 4, but it's currently running at 1.5. because my internet speed cannot keep up. So if you see some buffering and if you see some issues, I apologize greatly. However, I have a video version of this, and we might end up using that because according to this, we've dropped like 44% of frames on the video version. We did it at the near the end of the first episode. We had a similar issue, and when I looked back, the audio was still completely fine. It was just the video kept seizing up. So I'll take a look at this after the podcast, and we'll see how it is. Actually, let me listen in right now. Maybe that'll give us some good insight. Because this is just it's annoying more than anything else. Right, I'm listening to myself. I'm gonna try not to. Yeah, it looks like it's just the video is getting stuck, but the audio itself seems fine. I can't. No. The audio is jumping around as well. So we will most likely. Let me. Yeah, that's fine. We will most likely end up using the video version then. It seems that will be uploaded at a later point. This is great. This is a good start. I love it already. If we're going to talk about let's talk about some cringeworthy stuff. You know what? Let's start it deep and then slowly bring it out of the hole of misery that we put ourselves into. That's the kind of life I lead, mostly in a hole of misery. So, first up, let's talk about the one that's in the title. Or there are two in the title. Let's talk about one that's first in the title, because KFC thought it'd be a good idea to release a phone. Yeah. What? Like that's literally all I can say to this. Just like what? Now, the reason they released this phone is to celebrate 30 years of being in China, so congrats KFC, I guess. But yeah, this phone is basically based on the Honor 7, Huawei Enjoy 7 Plus is, I believe, the name of the phone. So it's just based on that, more or less. So it's got a 5.5-inch 720p screen, a Snapdragon 425, 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, and a just over 3,000 milliamp hour battery. All of which are, all right specs when you consider the price is approximately $162, and you get free chicken. So if you purchase, let's do this. Hang on. Let me bring up the show notes, and I will cross over to. So all of these links again. If you click on the first link in the description, you'll see the show notes. I write notes for every topic, and then there are also links that go to the story. So if you want to see what I'm seeing, you can just do that. What I will do is bring this up over here, bring up the article. This is like the first piece of news I saw this week because it broke on July 12th. So 4 days ago? And Tuesday, Wednesday is when I start getting ready for these. And it was literally the first piece of news I saw. And it was just like the funniest thing. So if we switch over, I really hope this works. Oh, beautiful. So this is on The Verge. Yeah, it's so bizarre, right? Like, but yeah, the big thing here is it's got a nice little Colonel Sanders. I don't know how to pronounce that. It's on the back. And yeah, if we the announcement video for whatever reason is in 240p, because that's the resolution of all the screens in China, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, like look at this. Bizarre, look, what is this? KFC, why did you do this? It comes with 100,000 KFC digital currency, which lets you buy chicken. 10,000, which is 100,000 K dollars. Now, what I want to know is how many K dollars does it take for you to be able to buy a piece of chicken? Like how many? Let's see here. Can we KFC. It doesn't seem to. I want to know what the conversion rate is. Come on, guys. What is? How much chicken can I get for K dollars? Come on. I don't know. It doesn't seem to. No one's quite sure. Also, what? This is. I just found this. What? La, la, la. Oh my! Why is this happening? So KFC. If you're listening to this, whilst trying to find the value of a K dollar, I failed miserably. However, I did stumble across the news that KFC is currently working on selling a meteorite for roughly $20,000, and it's the shape of their chicken burgers, the Zinger Burger, I believe it's called, judging by the URL to this page. That is it's on their online store. Hang on. Let's take a look at their KFC. So if you go to kfclimited.com, you go to their website. Oh my god, this listing is hilarious, I have to say. This one-of-a-kind space meteorite is real space-made meteorite from space, sculpted by the harsh elements that exist in the vastness of space, and then later by 3 artists named Haley, Scott, and Mike. The Zinger chicken sandwich-shaped meteorite has all the Zinger chicken sandwich-shaped details that you've come to expect from a Zinger chicken sandwich. This sounds like a parody. You can actually add this. This sounds like they got ahead of themselves with the April Fool's Day joke. Like, that's what this sounds like. Don't miss your chance to own this very significant and very heavy piece of chicken sandwich space travel history. Wow. Really? Is this for real? Like, I think it is. I think this is genuinely for real. In its like description, it says contents iron and other space stuff, one of a kind, not for human consumption, as you'd hope. And it's 5 3/4 inches by 3 3/4 inches and weighs 9.5 pounds, which means nothing to me. So let's get it in a real weight. Because pounds aren't a real weight. That's 4.3. That's a heavy burger. You do not want to be eating all of that. You're gonna feel that in the morning. What else? Let's take a quick look. So there's some socks. That's relatively, that's generic, I guess. A piece of string for, the reasonable amount of $12, for which you can literally get a necklace. So you can either get a necklace or a piece of string, and they both cost the same amount of money. Who'd have guessed? What else do we have here? So, yeah, it's mostly t-shirts, some prints. So if you want a print of the Colonel, that's a neat $30, as you do. Bleeding neck. Can you imagine being that guy? Like, someone comes into your house, you're like, hey, and they're like, hey, what's that on the wall? And you're like, oh, that's just the picture of Colonel Sanders I hung on my wall. It's just there, like, all the time. Like, why? I just really like chicken, man. What can I say? Like, okay, it's a bit off. Not gonna lie. But yeah, KFC. Sorry, back onto the phone. I'm just so confused as to how this phone exists. So if we... Yeah, it'll run Android 7, lack Google's Play Store. How much is K dollars worth? Right, hang on, I know what to do. I just got an idea. If we go to Baidu and then search for K dollars there, I reckon that'll throw up a KFC website. Damn, it won't. That didn't work. K dollar. If we type K dollar KFC, not FCK, KFC. Let's try this. Perfect. Right, so this is the KFC China website. Okay. Yep, that's great. Yeah, yes, please translate it. I would like it to be in English because that is the language I speak. So, if we come on, this page cannot be translated. Oh, that's useful. That's better. Right. So, this is no. Okay. Let's see if we can find KFC China. Maybe if we type that in, but perfect. The KFC China website. I can't believe we've spent 15 minutes talking about KFC's phone. What is going on here? So if we wait for this to do its thing, there's a little Baidu icon here. I'm not sure what that's doing here. Maybe it was a translate thing. So let's I don't know what any of these words mean. I'm gonna guess that this yellow one is like menu or like, oh yeah, it says online ordering. Haha. Look at me go. No. Yes. I think this is what we're after. This is okay. Start ordering. That's what we want. Oh no, don't make me make an account. Hang on, let's translate. So are we just never going to hang on? What happens if we just? This is so bizarre. Why is the word chicken so weird? Suck the original What? What is this? What? Oh my days. If you ever get a chance, apparently the best thing to do is to oh man. So if you ever have some free time, I highly recommend you go to the KFC website, which is just kfc.com.cn, which kind of makes sense and I kind of should have expected. Go there and then use Google Translate to translate everything into English. Go to the menu and just look at some of the bizarre names, apparently. K, remember to eat. Let's see what's under there. This is so bizarre. This is, what? What is going on here? Like, some of these, that does not sound, hey, do you want some KFC old tan dish chicken rice? Oh my days. Hang on, let me pull up OBS, just so I can see what you guys can see. Let's just zoom in here. Just this one right here. KFC old tan dish chicken rice. Oh, that is priceless. That is, oh my days. I love it. Oh, hang on, I need to mute Facebook. I don't know which tab it's in. I'm assuming here. It is here. We can close that. We don't need that to come back at all. Oh my day, that is priceless. We still haven't figured out the value of a K dollar. So yeah, K dollars could be worth anything. There's the K emojis. So part of actually back onto the phone, because we got mildly carried away there. That's totally not my fault though. You get 100,000 K dollars, which no one knows how much about it. Oh wait, hang on. Wait. See, all I had to do was wait for the video to play for another like 3 seconds apparently. So if we go to the original video, is this in HD? Have they just limited it for? I don't think they have. No, it's just this video is literally in 240p. Like what is going on here? So you get 100,000 K dollars, and then if we wait a second, look at this. See, perfect. So that rice bowl thing that we were making fun of, the KFC old tan dish chicken rice. Man, this goes full circle. That thing costs 80,000 K dollars. So you could get, hypothetically, the KFC old tan dish chicken rice once for free with your phone. That is revolutionary. We have revolutionized the eating of chicken right here. You also get K music, which works like a virtual jukebox. So as this plays, basically how it works is you can change the music being played in any KFC. So, you know, if it's someone's birthday, you can get them to play Happy Birthday. There are lots of bars in the UK that have been started doing this, and a lot of pubs where, you know, if you have the app on your phone, you can then, you end up being able to, like, pick the songs that play on over the sound system, which is really cool. We'll have to see how it works in terms of people abusing that system, but otherwise it seems all right, and nothing quite like these people look like they're having fun. Look at them. Them and their K music. Ugh, who do they think they are? This is hilarious. What the hell is going on here? So yeah, if you if you want one of these phones, tough, because you can't get them outside of China. So that's a real shame. And the question is, how much would you want one anyway? Because you can't use your K dollars, right? That's a real no-no. Imagine not being able to get your, I've forgotten its name. Hang on, wait. Imagine not being able to get your KFC KFC old tan dish chicken rice. Oh God, I'm going to regret this so much. Like I can tell already. But yeah, if you're in China, great. If you're not, that kind of sucks. Because you can't get your Huawei phone made by KFC, or your KFC phone made by Huawei, I should say. Oh, that was some autoplay audio. That was real mean. And yeah, if you have $20,000 to spare, feel free to buy a KFC meteorite. Oh, bloody hell. What has my life come to? That is the real question here. That was intense. That was some. Oh, hang on, wait, wrong button. That's the one we were going for. That was some really bizarre stuff. That was KFC. What are you doing? So elsewhere, let's carry on, shall we? Elsewhere, actually, what I will do is quickly add a tick to that file, so that we know I've covered it. Again, if you've seen the show notes, you'll be aware of this. There are actually usually more topics than we actually end up covering. So I leave a nice little tick next to the ones we've covered. I don't leave a tick next to the ones we haven't covered. I leave a cross, as you'd expect. And that's cool, because if there's news that we haven't covered, but you look at the show notes, you might find some extra stuff you didn't know was there previously. Which is cool, so make sure to go check out the show notes in the link in the description. It's literally the first link. Go click it, you'll have fun. You'll be able to follow along with what I'm reading, which is always good, depending on your definition of always, obviously. I'm going to have some water. Bear with me for a second. Wow, what a start to a podcast, right? 20 minutes of KFC talk. Everyone else would be so jealous of you. If they knew, they'd be so jealous. They'd be like, oh my God, they got to hear George talking about KFC. Where can I find that? And that's when you tell them snppy.tech/podcast4, and it takes you straight here. It takes you straight here regardless of the date or the time. If it's 100 years in the future, it probably wouldn't work, actually. But if it's like a month from now, it'll definitely work. snppy.tech/podcast4 will bring you straight here, or just /podcast for anything. Facebook. What have you done? That is the next question. It's also the second part of this title. So I feel obliged to cover both of these. So we're going to cover this one as well. I think we're going to get through all the topics, actually, depending on how long I spend on them. Judging by the amount of time I spend talking about KFC's chicken phone, we may be here for a while. This may be a long one. However, Facebook have announced that they'll be putting ads into their Facebook Messenger app. Not a single person is surprised, but everyone is kind of annoyed. So how it will work, if you're not aware of this already, which is probably why you're listening to this, is that they will show adverts in between messages, and I'm going to do the same thing I did previously of grabbing those notes and just having a link up to sort of show you visually. So how it will work is it will show the adverts in between messages. So it's not in between messages, in between conversations. So if you open up the home of the app, you will find, let's hang on, let me pull up this link real quick, and then you can watch it as I talk about it. That might make more sense. That's better. So as you can see, there's an advert here. It's literally like, it'll start showing your conversations, and then it'll be like, oh, but there's also this ad, and then it will show more conversations. This right here is the reason I don't use Facebook Messenger. Anyone who has messaged me lately on Facebook is probably aware of the fact I don't use Facebook Messenger because you can't call me via Facebook unless I'm sat at a PC. Reason being, it's just really bogged down ever since they introduced My Day, I believe it's called, their rip-off of the stories for Facebook Messenger, because the one in the standard Facebook app isn't good enough, and nor is the one that's in WhatsApp, apparently. Ever since they released that, I have actually stopped using Facebook Messenger. A, because the My Day thing is annoying, and B, because the app actually runs really slowly. Now, if you're wondering why the app runs so slowly, I did some checking. I crunched some numbers, right? After some important number crunching, I found out that if you look at the size of the Facebook apps, right, Facebook and Facebook Messenger, if you look at the size of two of them, they're both larger than all of the Office apps. So, Facebook is larger than Word, Excel, PowerPoint, right? It's literally a bigger app. Like, how does that happen? How is Facebook, especially Facebook Messenger, but Facebook as well, how are they so big? Like, what have they done? Like, how are the apps so huge? Apparently they are, though. So yeah, if you're ever running out of space, blame Facebook. As a Android user, I highly recommend Disa, D-I-S-A. What's really cool about that is actually, as well as Facebook, it lets you add a bunch of different services. So I use it for Facebook Messenger, texting. You can use it for WhatsApp, and then you can actually, if you're a developer, you can create plugins, or you can ask developers to create plugins for it as well. So it can theoretically link with any messaging service that has an open API for their messaging, which is really cool. Because I like the idea of streamlining all of my apps into one. When I used Facebook Messenger, I would have it for my text messages purely because it meant I only had one app. However, with these ads and with the My Day thing, I don't use it at all now, so joke's on you, Mark Zuckerberg. Ads will either take you, so if we zoom back here, you can see clicking on the ad will either take you to their website. This is by decision of the advertiser, obviously. It will either take you to their website, or if they have a chatbot set up, they can get it so it goes straight to their chatbot, so you can start messaging their chatbot and start buying stuff through there. We're digging a deeper and deeper hole, and I'm not quite sure how we're going to get out of this, to be honest. I feel like, oh my days, what's going on here, right? But yeah, if you're a user of Facebook Messenger, all I can say is why, and then outside of that, all I can say is enjoy the adverts. I can see this being the move that convinces Facebook to drop the public API. Because, if you are Facebook in this scenario, you don't want applications such as these are existing where they're not viewing the Messenger app. And if that does happen, then I might just not use Facebook messaging at all, and that would be an interesting development. I do use Allo actually quite a bit. So back when it was released, it was kind of miserable. It wasn't bad. It was half-baked, like most Google products. Sorry. However, it's matured a lot. It's now a lot better, in my opinion, at least. You get quick share codes, which are just sort of standard-looking QR codes. Let me pull up my profile real quick. So if I do George Church needs a QR code, so if I hold this up to the camera, you can see it's literally just a QR code that you scan to add people, which is slightly easier than what you used to have to do, unless you had their phone number, obviously, which was really the easiest way. However, they've now introduced things like backup and restore conversations. I think you still can't log in on multiple devices. However, you can back up conversations, which is always good, I guess. That's nice. But yeah, it's interesting. It's, if nothing else, it seems like you might be able to log in on multiple phones now. I will give out a test after a show and let you know. We'll find out soon. However, back to Facebook Messenger. Who the hell knows what they're playing at, apart from trying to get more money. But yeah, it's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff in the world of Facebook. So you can't tell because you're not here. It's really warm up here. Like, really, really warm. That the PC is kind of warm, and then the window that these two things are blocking is currently shut, which is great. It's not blocking the window; it's like blocking the light. Also, I got a tattoo. There's a video coming on Snappy-Talk soon. I actually got 2 tattoos. Videos coming on Snappy-Talk later this week, or should I say early next week, technically, because this is still Sunday. Yeah, talking about tattoos, what they are, why I got them. Keep your eyes out for that. That's coming early next week. There's also a couple of other techie videos coming out on Snappy-Tech, as you'd expect. Also, at some point next week, I am at an Amazon event on Tuesday. If you're going to... I need to look up the name. I keep forgetting the name of this thing. Excuse me. So if you are at the Amazon App Store Summer Happy Hour on the 18th of July... 18th of July. From 6:30 to 9:30. Drop me a message, send me a tweet, do something, say hi, and we can meet up. We can have a drink or two, all on Amazon's tab, obviously. So that's great, and it'll be nice to. It's a good experience for just networking. So I'll be there, talking to people. We won't be recording anything, but it'll be nice to just see people and say hi. Oh my days. Also, back in the world of tech news, let's discuss Threadripper, because. Let's just say AMD have been ripping it up. They've been ripping the competition to shreds. They've been... no, I only had 2. Those are the only 2 I had. But yeah, so AMD announced Ryzen Threadripper, as well as Ryzen 3 this week. Wow, is all I can say. Like, it obliterates the competition. If we let's start with talking about Ryzen 3. So Ryzen 3 has 4 cores and 4 threads. Hang on, that pricing's wrong. 4 cores and 4 threads for both the R3 1200 and the R3 1300X. The 1200 has a base clock of 3.1 gigahertz and a boost clock of 3.4, whereas the 1300X has a base clock of 3.5 and a boost clock of 3.7. They cost $109 and $129 respectively, and that's good. That's a decent price. And the reason it's a decent price, well, it's better than a decent price, because if you look at the Intel i5 quad cores, again the ones with 4 cores and 4 threads, the one that's equivalent to a 1300X in terms of pure clock speed. More or less, and we'll have to see the performance as it comes out, but it seems good, and even then it doesn't like a million times better, because the Intel i5 7500, I believe it is i5. No. Damn, I can't remember. No, it is the i5 7500. Huh. Wait, let me double check. Huh, it is. Go me. So the i5 7500 costs, wow, that was not expected, costs $205 currently, whereas the 1300X, which is, expected to be more or less the same, is $129. So more or less a $70 price difference. It's more or less half price. Which is crazy. AMD have been killing it with their CPUs this year. I'm going to moving towards a Ryzen 7 processor, probably the 1800X. We'll see. Bloody hell. AMD are not kidding around this year. They are it's interesting. However, before we go further, let's talk. So the crazy thing is, like, that's not the cool bit. Like, the cool bit is looking at their server grade processors. Sorry, not their server grade processors. Their Threadripper processors. So they announced the 1950X and the 1920X. The 1950X has 16 cores, 32 threads, at a base clock of 3.4 and a boost of 4 gigahertz. And then the 1920X has 12 cores, 24 threads, at a slightly higher base clock of 3.5 gigahertz, with the same boost of 4 gigahertz. They cost $999 and $799 respectively. Again, you might be thinking, George, that's a lot of money for a lot of processor. Is that I have no bearing on what those numbers mean? And I'd be like, I'm not surprised, because most people don't know the price of those kinds of processors off the top of their head. So for comparison, we have Intel's freshly announced. So Intel, in their bid to look like they're not behind, announced their X299 platform, including the i9, which is the one that's the i9 7900X and the i9 7960X. So the 7900X, which costs $999, making up the same price as the 1950X. AMD ran them side by side, and again, take this with a pinch of salt because AMD ran them. However, this was a Cinebench test, and it was done sort of live on camera. So take it with a pinch of salt, but it seemed legit, and it wasn't within margin of error. So it's probably noticeably quicker. Came in a 50% faster running the Cinebench benchmark compared to the 7900X, and they cost the same amount. The crazy thing is, if you compare it to the 7960X, which is one that's supposed to be the same performance-wise, not performance, not performance. Performance-wise, they're more or less the same, the 7960X and the 1950X. These numbers need to be cleaned up a bit, I'll be honest. Performance-wise, they're more or less the same. However, the i9 costs $700 more, which is crazy. Now, Intel are clearly frustrated with this, because if you look at their pitch, let me see if I can grab it real quick. So AMD, Intel slides were released. So here it is. Let me pull this up. Open image. So let's grab this. So this is it was interesting. Let me put it that way. Let's if we switch. So this is the official slide. If we zoom in a bit, make it a bit bigger. So Intel versus AMD, tick tick tick, cross cross cross. So these CPUs are completely new, right? So lack of ecosystem, poor track record. Poor track record is a difficult one. An inconsistent supplier, like where do they get this proof, right? That's the question I have. And how does that relate to the fact that the Intel CPUs are architected for the data center? Like, what does that mean? Like, did the Intel people literally just get told, like, give all our products some ticks and all of their things a bunch of crosses and hopefully no one will notice? With the important one being inconsistent performance from 4 glued together desktop die. Now, Intel, you guys know this isn't true, right? If we grab this article, this isn't the article that's in the show notes. I just found this now. Interestingly, AMD came when they first announced the EPYC server chips. Did mention that that it was done for a reason, and they're not literally glued together, right? It's a lot more complicated. It uses the Infinity Fabric to create a modular approach to the CPUs, which means that they have higher yields, and with higher yields, that means you lose less money on your processors. And by having a lower loss rate, it means that you can essentially make your CPUs cheaper, which is probably why the AMD EPYC processors at the same price points of Intel Xeons are somewhere between 23 and 70% more powerful, depending on the price point you look at, because Intel are too busy writing, slides like this, while AMD are going about making all their processors as great as they can. So yeah, Intel, do you want to like some aloe vera or something? Like, you guys, like, drink some water. You must be dehydrated. Salt you're taking on. Like, seriously, guys, just calm down. Like, really? Like, really, guys? You okay there? Do you wanna? Do you guys want like a chill pill or something? But yeah, it's. I don't even know what to say, man. Like, I'm just so confused. So very confused. Like, why would you? What? It's just so bizarre. Like, why is that a thing you would do? Like, really? Like, honestly? Like, who took a look at this and decided that was a good? You know what? I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. That's fine. We can move on. We will move on. But yeah. So if you're Intel, it's not been your week. It's not been your year, really. If you look at all of the stuff. So something I do want to talk about, and we were going to talk about this last week, but we ran out of time. So I have the notes from last week's episode within here, as well as the notes for this week, because new stuff has happened. So SoundCloud, a service that is very much loved, are having major issues, and by major I mean very, very major, as it turns out they might only have somewhere between 50 and 80 days to live, which is not good for SoundCloud. Now, if you're not aware, last week they cut 40% of all of the jobs they had. So that's, to be exact, it was 173 jobs. So, it's been a rough year for SoundCloud. Both Spotify and Twitter was said to have been considering acquiring SoundCloud at one point or another, and both decided to drop out. We can't be quite sure about how much money SoundCloud is or isn't, in this case isn't, making, because they haven't actually published any numbers since 2015. And if you look at the 2015 numbers, they were leaking money, more or less. So it's safe to assume they never dug themselves out of that hole. And the latest rumors are that Deezer might be thinking of acquiring SoundCloud, but we'll have to wait and see. The issue is, for SoundCloud at least, is that, well, they're still looking to hire. No one's quite sure. It's really bizarre. So they fired 40% of their staff, but they have 50 days to live. So they're going to hire people for like 2 months, and then, the company liquidates and it no longer matters. Who knows? However, so yeah, what happened here was a report claimed that SoundCloud had 50 days to live, which, isn't that long. But then SoundCloud issued a statement, and this, I have to say, this was a very funny statement. This is one of those statements where, I'm reading a statement, I'm like, really? Like, you actually, someone decided that was a good thing to say? So instead of being like, oh no, we're in amazing business, or coming out and being honest about it, right, and being like, yeah, we're suffering some really tough times, and we'll see. Hopefully, we'll get acquired by Deezer. No. What they said was, and I'm quoting here, that they've been funded up until the start of Q4 of this year. Now, you might be thinking, wow, Q4, that sounds like forever away, right? No, which month is that? So, up to Q4, right? So not beyond Q4, up to. And at the time of me writing the show notes, which was about 3 days ago, that was 80 days. So instead of going, oh, no, let's put it this way. What they basically did is go, oh, no, we're not dying in 2 months. We're dying in 3 months. Yeah. Oops. So we'll have to, God damn it. Like, what is, what is going on here is the real question. Like, poor SoundCloud never really managed to advertise their service very well, and we're in the situation we're in now, probably because of that. You know, they were considered the YouTube of the audio space, but they were never able to capitalize on it in the same way that the YouTube of the video space, aka YouTube, was. If I pull up this article, if you're watching a video, as you can see, yeah, that they are hiring. Like, it's really bizarre. I'm not sure why they're still hiring people, and to be fair, like, but their HQ looks like the standard, like, cool company HQ would try to look, right, with their free food and their come work here. But it seems like, you know, the SoundCloud free was good enough that no one wanted the SoundCloud Go or the SoundCloud Go Plus, which were the newly introduced premium services. Probably because it didn't really offer much outside of no ads. It cost you $5 a month for offline listening, and no ads. And then if you added a further $5, you'd get premium SoundCloud tracks that are only available to the people who were paid $10 per month, which is really bizarre if you ask me. However, to each their own, I guess. I just found it really peculiar. But with no one going for it, what can we say? Actually, fun story. I had considered uploading the originally back 4 weeks ago, as we went to start the Snappy-Tech podcast. I decided uploading these to SoundCloud and decided against it. I don't remember why. But I don't think there was a specific reason. I was just like, you know what, maybe not. And by complete coincidence, SoundCloud is going out of business. So maybe it was my fault. Maybe it was all me. We'll never know. But the question is, you know, who's going to pay for it, right? It's if someone's planning on buying it, great. I doubt it though. Like, it doesn't really offer much outside of things that most companies already have, outside of all the indie labels, right? And not even indie labels, like indie performers. And the question then is, like, how much do these how much do Google care? Like, do they care? How much do Apple care? How much does Deezer care about having all these small songs that no one is really willing to pay for, right? Because most people are willing to pay to listen to a Beyonce song, or Taylor Swift, or Bastille, or people, big names people are willing to pay for. Whereas if I release a song and put it on Deezer, on SoundCloud, no one really wants to hear that, do they? Because I don't think they do. So we have 3 topics left. I think we're going to cover. Let's how do we want to do this? There's one I can cover quite quickly. So I just want to quickly talk about Ajit Pai, the FCC chairman. If you weren't aware, it was the day of net neutrality this week, and I released a video for it. If you haven't seen it, go to snpy.tech/net neutrality. It will take you straight to the video. It's about 5 minutes long, if I recall correctly. Let me just double check that. And that video, I'm personally not affected by net neutrality, or at least this ruling on net neutrality. However, it is something that sets a precedent, and it's not the kind of precedent I want to be set. As I said in the video, it's just over 6 minutes long. It's like, just go watch the video, decide that net neutrality is a good thing, and then fill in that information. However, apparently it won't matter, because in a statement made by Ajit Pai, the chairman of the FCC, he said that my days. He said that he wasn't concerned by the number of people stating they wanted net neutrality to stay. Let me pull up this article, because it is quite I am in disbelief, and I went on a slight Twitter rampage about this, with good reason, I like to think, because it's crazy. He released a statement talking about how. Let me find the exact thing. Let me find it. Yeah, here's the comment, right? The raw number is not as important as the substantive comments that are in the record. What he basically said is that the 19 non-profit municipal broadband providers who oppose current net neutrality rules gave a, quote, exceptionally important contribution to the debate. However, said nothing when asked about the 30 small ISPs that urged him to preserve the rules. It's crazy, and I went on a bit of a Twitter rampage on this guy. Let me pull it up. Hang on. It was. Where is it? I've been doing a lot of tweeting this week. It's been a Twitter-filled week. I've been out and about. It's been fun. This bit hasn't been fun. So yeah, this is my Twitter feed. He essentially said, right, like if we're all being honest here, he basically said that the voice of the 10 million, contributions. So there was, if I recall correctly, 2 million FCC comments, 7.6 million public comments overall. 124,000 phone calls were made to Congress. 5 million emails were sent. All of it, these are big numbers, right? Call it 15 million to round up a touch, right? All 15 million of those doesn't matter, because the people who want him to to get rid of net neutrality are rich, and you're not. Essentially, right? What he's basically said here is the rich people who want net neutrality to go away I care about them more, because who needs net neutrality? Am I right, or am I right? I could spend days going off at that guy. He's just. It's interesting, because we had that discussion last week with Paul about whether or not Free were impeding net neutrality with their Go Binge program. However, they said they were accepting anyone onto it. So I don't know, man. It's just, the internet is designed to be free and open, right? There's no inherent discrimination between data on the internet. However, companies trying to make a quick buck are trying to build in that discrimination. And it's crazy stuff. It's just ridiculous. Alas, it's the world we live in, and therefore it's the world we have to talk about. So that's on a happy note. Actually, let's have another really, really quick note, and then let's end on a happy note, and that way we've covered all of the topics. Really, really quickly, it's been one hell of a week for you. Vertu, if you don't know, are a UK-based company who make premium handsets, and by premium, I don't mean ones that look kind of cool. These handsets cost over $30,000 because they're all handmade with premium materials. So if you were to go onto the Vertu website right now, the most expensive phone you would find would cost just over a cool $50,000. Made with 18-karat red gold, black leather, a sapphire face and keys, and a ruby Vertu button. Who would have guessed that no one was buying these phones? This company was originally a spin-off company from Nokia. It was then sold in 2012, and then since then it's been sold back and forth a bit. They had 128 million pounds worth of debt they couldn't pay off, and it's meant that they've now been shut down. Is anyone really surprised? Honestly, Really? Like, who was buying these 50 grand phones? I mean, clearly, like, it's one of those things where they're clearly like, oh yeah, we just need to sell one of these phones every 20 years, and we'll be fine. And then no one bought one. Obviously, it's clearly what happened here. It's crazy, man. They've been around for almost perfectly 20 years. So clearly, what happened? Bought one, like the first day, and no one's bought one since. So it's been that was the issue. They're like, oh yeah, we need to sell one every 20 years. We sold one on the first day, and they haven't sold one since. Bloody hell, Virtue. What can I say? Happy notes. Let's end on a happy note, shall we? Google, because you can always trust Google to cheer you up. Or at least I can. Google always cheers me up. Google have announced that they are building a data center, a cloud computing data center specifically, within the UK. It's currently in the process of being built. It's for the Google Cloud platform, which is great. If you're a user of, let's bring this up real quick. Boom, got the article. Awesome. So Google are, the data center for the cloud. The big driver for this being lower latency between the server and your computer if you're in the UK, with up to 82% reduced latency between the server based in the UK. So if I was to try, so if I was to try pinging the server in the UK versus the server I'd have to ping to currently, which is in Belgium, there's an 82% latency decrease, which is great. All of the stuff that happens a lot quicker. The interesting thing out of this as well is, the fact that they're building a data center here means that with the whole Brexit situation is really interesting. I'm not sure how they're going to take that, but it'll be interesting. However, analysts estimate that Google generated about $1 billion of revenue of sales last year, with that expected to double for 2018, which is great. It's not the highest though, as this article states. AWS or Amazon Web Services was 12.2. It's actually, and interestingly, they make more money off their servers than they actually do in Amazon, like the Amazon website where you buy stuff. Like, they make more money off their cloud than they do selling stuff to you, which is crazy. If we pull up a report as done by Gartner called let's pull this up. The Magic Quadrant for Cloud Infrastructure as a Service worldwide. Amazon Web Services up here as the leader, followed by Microsoft, followed by Google, which is actually not too shabby. So Google third is decent. They've clearly been working on it. Microsoft's Azure services are really up there. I think everyone has realized that the next big thing for, in the world of data center is cloud processing and is cloud infrastructure as a service. And we're moving in an interesting direction. We'll have to see how that direction leads us. But it's definitely interesting nonetheless. I've just checked the number of dropped frames. I've dropped roughly 50% of frames. It's what was I saying? Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. It's it'll be good. I hope. Hope being the main word there. With Google's cloud being strengthened, this should mean greater business for those in the UK, which is great. But we'll have to wait and see, and then we'll know. However, that's really it. We personally use Google Cloud service, the Google Cloud platform, should I say, for the compute platform. We did some testing with it. We might do some further testing with it, just to, mess around, see what happens. You get you get some really good stuff under free, or should I say for free. So it's always worth just messing around, seeing what happens. And if your needs increase, and if you decide you want to use it full time, you can, and that's great. If not, then you gave it a go, and it was free anyway, so it wasn't really much to lose. So that was the Snappy-Tech podcast.